Hi, my name is Karen Whittemore. Thank you for joining me today. For those of you who don't know me, I am a family nurse practitioner. I have been in the nursing field for quite a while now. I graduated as a licensed practical nurse back in 91, got my RN in 92, and became a nurse practitioner in 1998 and have been practicing in family practice medicine ever since then. And I have learned a lot of things as the time has gone by. There have been a lot of changes in medicine, and I have also come across some interesting things outside of the medicine that can really help us with our health. I've been very impressed with the LifeWave company and the X39 patches. They also have other patches that can really help us with our health. And I'd like to talk about those, but I'd also like to just kind of talk about things a little bit in general first about how we can really work on taking ownership of our health. So last year, I had the opportunity of going to the LifeWave convention where John Maxwell, who is a leadership speaker and has written many leadership books, was speaking. And he was talking about how if you don't do something to improve yourself every day, you just get older. So he really recommended you read something every day, you learn something new. And I have taken that on. And one of the most recent books that I have been reading is called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. This is a #1 New York best time seller. And it was actually recommended to me by one of my patients. This book this kind of made me think a lot more about how important it is for us to own our own health. These are two Navy SEALs who talked about their experience out on the battlefield in Ramadi in Iraq. They were fighting many battles, and there were a lot of mistakes. And there were some mistakes, as some things that could have been mistakes that they were able to catch. And in the first chapter, he talks about how they went into a battle, and there was fierce fighting on both sides, all to find out that it was friendly fire. It was Americans attacking other Americans, and he was the one in charge. He was the leader, and got thinking, oh my gosh, how could this have happened? And there was one person who was fatally injured, but no other casualties. But so that is a serious burden, and he had to file a report and talk about everything that went wrong, and where to place the blame. And ultimately, there were a number of things that went wrong, a lot of miscommunication. It was very easy to misidentify the numbers of the houses and getting things mixed up. But ultimately, he realized, this is my responsibility. I'm the leader here. I if there was a communication breakdown, what was it that I did or didn't do to cause that? If somebody else went ahead and fired when they should have been asking something, why did this happen? I'm the leader. I have to take charge. And that's really what the book is about. And they go around and talk to a bunch of different corporations and help different businesses with all the lessons that they've learned. But the most important thing is ownership, owning all the accidents, owning all the flaws when things aren't going right. Instead of, okay, who or where can I place the blame? It's, okay, what did I do? What did I do wrong that I could have changed to make things better? What can I do in the future to make sure these things don't happen this way? And I got thinking how important that is for our health. How often do I see somebody who has a multitude of problems, but these problems did not come overnight. These problems are, if you have years of smoking and you have years of drinking diet soda or lots of processed foods or sugar soda or exposure to lots of environmental toxins through your job, if you have all these exposures, one on top of the other, and then you also add on top emotional trauma and how you handle situations, these things impact our health. These things create consequence. And rather than, we're so used to in our Western culture, you go to your medical provider and you lay it out on the table and you just expect, okay, fix me, without taking any ownership in it at all. And I think we all need to start making changes. That's just our culture. That's how we're taught. If there's a problem, you fix it. You need to fix me, rather than being aware of, okay, am I in a dead-end job that I hate and I'm causing a lot of stress in my body by going to work in this position that I hate every day? Or I'm in a relationship that I'm not satisfied with, that instead of being rewarding, it's causing heartache and hardships. How are these things impacting us? And sometimes we aren't going to really fix our problems. I mean, there are so many cases of people who have back problems, who go in and get surgery, and the odds are not fantastic. It's only about 50% of the time that people who get back surgeries actually have improvement in their pain. And to me, those are horrible odds. And I think sometimes it's because there are situations that are impacting. It's not just all physical, mechanical things. And even when it is physical, mechanical, we can see it on an MRI. The discs are compressed. There's pinching on the nerves. There are all these things that are going wrong. Sometimes it can have to do with other things as well, such as, I'm not happy with my life. I'm not happy I'm not finding joy in my life, and I'm just miserable. And the back pain is just one more thing to add to enjoy being miserable about. Until those things are fixed, until taking ownership of that emotion and of taking ownership of quitting something like smoking, of quitting habits that are not in our best interest, of putting the Reese's peanut butter cups down and realizing, okay, maybe I'm overindulging and these things are also creating inflammation in my body and causing pain. Once we start doing that, then maybe we can actually make some more progress towards our health. But until we recognize that we have a stake in it, that we have some responsibility in our health problems, it's hard to make these changes. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the LifeWave patches and how these can assist us with some of these issues. These wonderful little patches. So here's my X39 packet. They come in these little patches that have organic crystals embedded in the patches. These are actually light therapy devices. And how they work is, as our body emits light, because we are light beings, you can see it when you look through infrared goggles. You can see that there are all these colors coming off of us, and that's our heat. And heat is a form of infrared light. So as that light bounces off of these crystals, it gets spun back in a specific frequency that goes back into our body, signaling our body to do different functions. So it's just like when you go out in the sun and the sun's light hits your body, and there's a specific frequency in the wavelength of the sun that is telling your body, hey, it's time to start producing vitamin D. It's not giving you vitamin D, it's telling your body it's time to start making the vitamin D. And in the case of X39, it's telling our body to start producing copper peptide. And each of the different patches that LifeWave has, so there are a lot of different patches that this company has, and they generally tell our bodies to produce different peptides. But these peptides can be very, very powerful. In the case of X39 and turning on copper peptide, what happens is when our copper peptide is down, our stem cell production is also low. And so by increasing the copper peptide, we're also able to indirectly increase our stem cells. And so we're actually able to give ourselves stem cell therapy with our own stem cells just by activating and increasing, stimulating our own stem cells. So that you could see that there's a lot of power in that. As we age, we tend to lose these things. We lose the ability to repair ourselves. But it's also, in the process of doing that, it's upregulating about 4,000 different genes. So that's a third of our genome. Imagine all the positivity that can happen when we are upregulating all of these different things rather than constantly having things downregulated as we're exposed to all these environmental toxins, all these stresses, all the inflammation. Being able to have something that upregulates and helps us heal, that's immense power. So I love the X39 for that. And I've seen patients who, I have a friend of mine whose father had horrible knees and was ready to go get a total knee replacement. But instead we thought, well, why not take ownership? Why not, let's just see what can happen with the X39. I mean, usually people go into the doctor, they say, oh, there's no other choice. You got to have the surgery. There's nothing else that can be done. But really, is that really true? I mean, that may be true in the sense of conventional medicine. Maybe conventional medicine doesn't have any more answers for that particular person. But there are often, outside of conventional medicine, there are so many people that are having different healing experiences. In fact, there are a number of people that just going on a carnivore diet where they're getting rid of so many of the inflammatory foods that all of a sudden their knee pain is gone. Now, it's not like all of a sudden they restored everything, but having the pain gone and having the inflammation come down was enough that they no longer needed the surgery and they didn't need to do anything. But this friend of mine, her father started using this patch and found that within a week he was doing knee bends and could not believe it. He felt great. He was able to travel across the country, going through several different states, which he hadn't been able to do that in years. But this allowed him the ability to do that for himself. And it's, when you consider that this, if you put it on an auto ship or become a brand member, is only $100 for a month supply, that's a pretty great deal, especially when you think of what you would have gone through going through surgery and the rehab and the cost of all of that and the potential risks involved as well, because there are definitely risks involved. Another of my favorite patches, I have several favorite patches. I love the glutathione patch because of how it helps us detoxify. It helps us to increase our glutathione on average by about 300%. That is insane, because when you take an oral glutathione, you're only increasing your levels by about 20 to 40%. So to be able to have something that you can just take the paper backing off and just stick it on like a Band-Aid and have it work continuously for a 12-hour period. And then you take it off at night and put on a new one. It will help you to be able to excrete toxins out of your system. And we are constantly being exposed. So when we take it into the thoughts of taking extreme ownership, we live in an environment where we don't have control over everything. We have things that are put in our food. We've got toxins in the air. We've got toxins all around us. We can't control making a decision like this to help get the toxins out. We can also, so one of the chapters in the Extreme Ownership book, it talks about taking ownership from the top down as the leader, but also from the bottom up as you know, if you're an employee, for example, and you're seeing things that are going wrong in your company, you can say something to the people above and help them to understand, hey, this is what's going on down beneath. This is how we're suffering down here because of some of the decisions. What can we do to fix it? So that's taking ownership from the bottom up. And when we're in a situation where we're talking about the we may not be able to change policies, but we can take ownership in who we vote for, what purchases we make, that we vote every time we buy something, and picking products that aren't having as much of an impact on the environment is an important choice that we can make. And that's another thing about the LifeWave company, is they are very, very concerned about the well-being of our Mother Earth, and want to make sure that we're not putting anything in the environment that is going to be toxic. And actually, he's also, David Schmidt, the owner, the CEO, the founder, the inventor, has also been working on inventions that help to clean up our environment too. So I love that he takes responsibility, and he has my vote as a company that is concerned about our environment. And so by me participating, that's a way that I am also taking ownership. So another patch, I love the Aeon patch. This one helps with inflammation. It also helps bring down our cortisol levels. And we can easily have high cortisol levels just from living in a society where there are constantly stressors around us and things that can go wrong. Ultimately, though, it is our responsibility for how we behave and how we react to a situation. In fact, I was just kind of talking with my husband this morning about how, you could have 10 people in a situation where their child just said something very hateful and hurtful to them that day. They're late for work. They go to work. It's raining. They get a flat tire, and all these things are going wrong. And you could have 10 different people react 10 different ways. And he said, yeah, but everybody's you're gonna be in a bad mood if you have a bad day like that. For the most part, that's true. Most people have just been trained to respond negatively to negative things. We're used to that. But I would argue that there's probably at least one person that's going to just be able to laugh it off and say, oh, this is going to make a great story to tell somebody, or just be able to have fun with it, or think about, oh my gosh, all these things are happening. Maybe there's some divine connection, and it's supposed to help me meet just the right person at the right time that I'm supposed to help in some way. It all depends on how we process it, and how we think about it, and how we look at it. In the Jewish concentration camps, there were many, many camps, and they would fit, I believe, around 50 people in each tent. And in every single tent, they found that there was usually at least one person that was looking after everybody else, that was kind of like the mother or father figure there. Oh my gosh, you're really feeling bad today. Don't worry, things are going to be okay. Do you need some food? Do you need some of my food? And that person would be helping, trying to help cheer everybody else up while everybody else was falling apart. So they were all in the same situation, but yet there were these rare people who decided not to let everything become a disaster, not to let it affect them in the same way that it was pulling everybody else apart. And that is one thing that the Aeon patch can help us with too, because of how it is helping us decrease that cortisol and helping us decrease the inflammation. It can't change our pattern of thought. That's still our responsibility. We own that. We own how upset we get when things are going wrong. But we can help block the potential health disasters that come from that response. So if I am having a horrible day and I'm using negative thought processes, at least I'm protecting myself by helping to decrease the inflammation that those negative thought processes in reaction to the situation are occurring. It is helping me to keep my cortisol levels down instead of them flying through the roof. These things have an impact on our health, and these things we can have a little help with control. Learning how to meditate, learning how to retrain our brain in our thinking processes, catching ourselves when we start thinking negatively. These are things that we can do to take ownership and be responsible for our health. But these are a nice Band-Aid. These are a nice backup to help, as a security to help us. Another one of my favorite things is the energy enhancer patch. This does so much for our mitochondria. The mitochondria are the powerhouses in our cells. And when our powerhouses in our cells are struggling, then all kinds of problems can arise. In fact, there are a lot of people, me included, that believe that cancers and things like that are really a problem of mitochondrial dysfunction. Now, there are a lot of pathways that get broken down on the pathway to having mitochondrial dysfunction that lead to the cancers and the problems. But the more we can do to protect our mitochondria, I think the healthier we can be in the long run. Another thing that I want y'all to be aware of that has an effect on our mitochondria, I really believe that the seed oils, seed and vegetable oils, make a huge difference. And these things are in so many products. I would urge you all to start looking at your labels. If it says it's made with cottonseed oil or soybean oil or canola oil, stay away from it. Now, there was an interesting research that was done showing they took mice and they exposed them to these seed oils, and they did absolutely fine. They had no health problems at all. But then they had another group of mice that they exposed to oxidized seed oils. And they had cardiovascular disease, they had cancers, autoimmune things. They had all kinds of health problems that were coming up. The problem with our seed oils is they become oxidized rapidly. And especially if you go out and are eating fast food, that oil that they use in those fryers, they often use that over and over and over again. And it's usually the soybean oil. And it oxidizes. By the time you get to your French fries, you don't know how many times that process has been going on. This creates a lot of inflammation in your body. And again, using the Aeon to help with that inflammation, and using something like the energy enhancer to help support your mitochondria, using the X39 to help upregulate. So when things are getting downregulated, having something to protect your cells, these are things that we can do. And maybe just not eating out of a fryer in the first place, and not buying products that have been sitting on the shelf forever, or not even buying products at all that contain these seed oils. The more of us that take notice of that and are being cautious about these types of things, the more we're going to be putting our vote out there, letting companies and corporations know, hey, we don't want these things in our food products. We don't want the health concerns that are associated with this. We want to protect ourselves. I would urge you all to be aware of that, because that is something that we can be in charge of. Another thing that we can also do to help with ownership is by taking time to just meditate every day. There are countless studies that show that people who have a regular meditation practice tend to have better control of their stress response, and have better health in general. You know, these things can make a difference to our well-being. These things affect our cells. I would urge you all to consider doing something like that, you know, eating a healthy diet. And healthy can be different depending on the person. Everybody has different reactions to different foods, but doing what you know is best for you and your well-being. And looking at your situation in your life, if you're not happy, what is it? Why are you not happy? Is it because of a choice? Is it because there are situations in your life that you have control over that you should be changing? Take ownership of that. Our health, our well-being is up to us. We are the ones that are responsible for how we are. And we have, again, products that can help us. And I love the LifeWave company because of these products that can help us so much. But I'm just going to go ahead and end it with those thoughts. And I thank you all for joining me. And if there is somebody who invited you here today and you would like to learn more information about the LifeWave patches, please get back with that person, because it is a wonderful way that we can help ourselves with our health. Thank you. Take care. Be well. Be healthy. Bye-bye.